We are super lucky to have Andrew here today. He is the ex head of design at FlutterFlow. If you've seen him before, you know that content that he creates is great. He's a wealth of knowledge, and we're really lucky to have him here for this presentation. So I'll hand it over to him, let him do his thing. And yeah, let's go ahead and get started.
Cool. Yes. So yeah, my name is Andrew Daniels. I was the head of design for FlutterFlow. I was a founding designer, however you want to say it. I've designed the platform since day zero, for better or for worse. All the UI and UX, or not all the UX. Most, and I'll say like 80% of the UI, because we have some developers that sort of just implemented stuff based off our design system. But a majority of the stuff is my fault. Again, for better or for worse, I've really enjoyed the evolution of the product itself. For those that maybe haven't joined my live streams in the past, because I had hosted a FlutterFlow live stream, I will give an overview of what FlutterFlow is, a little bit of background for me. So yeah, I was on the FlutterFlow team since day zero. So before they launched to YC, I designed the interface, worked with Abel and Alex as they grew the team. So I was number 3. I left when they had 50 employees, and I just left about a month, actually 3 weeks ago. So I've been journeying onto a path to do more of this, teaching and engaging builders, FlutterFlow developers, designers. I want to empower everybody to build production ready applications in FlutterFlow. I think it's an amazing tool to visually develop and produce applications. As a designer, I feel there's so many times where I felt incapable of launching products because I was not empowered to actually turn my ideas into an actual application. And there's been tools around. I mean, Webflow, right? No code tool for websites, landing pages, all sorts of fun stuff. Framer. I've been a user of Framer since their prototyping days, back when they were a totally different product. So I'm a no coder from the day one. But there was nothing really there for native applications. For those of you that do not know what FlutterFlow is, I will just do the small intro of the landing page, the typical, just showcase what this actually is. So FlutterFlow is a visual development platform. It's not necessarily a no code platform. It's not even really a low code platform. It's visual development. By that, we mean that everything you drag on the canvas turns into code. You have the ability to download your code if you have a pro plan, obviously, at any time. You can extend your apps to the extent that you could in code. Okay. Now there's pros and cons, right? Why don't just do it in code? Well, not everybody knows how to code. There's very few incredibly talented developers. That's why it's so expensive to build applications. Before I worked at FlutterFlow, I was an agency owner. I own an agency called Kaleo Design. Right. That's how FlutterFlow found me. That's how most of our clients found me, because we design applications. We've worked for Babylon Health, Torchies, Teachable, Accenture, Orkin, Mount Sinai, design stuff for Chili's, Dunkin' Donuts, all sorts of really cool brands. We have a team of 10 now, and I help out my design, or now I'm coming back to my design agency. But the goal would be to, like I said, build out more tutorials and instructions on how to build FlutterFlow applications. So my agency just acquired this no code UI, and we are building a education platform in FlutterFlow that we will deploy to iOS, Android, web, tablet, and allow people to go through actual course content. I'm going to give you a brief overview of FlutterFlow for those that have never seen it in action. I know I was just talking to somebody who had never even opened the editor. So I think it'll be enlightening to see what you can actually accomplish. So many people, well, when I say they missed the opportunity or they missed the vision, it's because FlutterFlow doesn't do a very good job of explaining everything you can do in FlutterFlow. I'm allowed to say that because I designed the website and all that stuff. So it was on me and the team that we just didn't focus on those things. So this is me telling everybody what you can do. So no code UI.io. There's a lot of information on here. There's also a registration for a small little boot camp. Really, it's just a course and it's a learning platform that you can get access to. We will eventually do a boot camp where we launch curriculum, assignments, tests, tutorials, everything that's required for you to actually hone your skills on building in FlutterFlow, but not just building in FlutterFlow. Becoming a designer developer, it's mostly angled towards freelancers, agencies, entrepreneurs would definitely benefit from it, builders on teams that are utilizing FlutterFlow. For me, I see the product development cycle as broken. This is a personal belief, right? I see the product development cycle as broken, right? And that's a larger conversation, not really tutorial based. So I will share. I think that FlutterFlow helps solve that brokenness, right? So when you dive into FlutterFlow, this is the desktop application of FlutterFlow. So you can design on the web, right? You can build stuff on the web, or you can build stuff in the desktop application, or you can build on iPad. I prefer the web app, and I'm building a lot in the web app because there's a neat little feature called local run, which I will show off later, hopefully. But what FlutterFlow allows you to do is build applications for iOS, Android, tablets. So I say tablets, it's like Android tablets, iPads, Mac OS apps, Windows apps, I think Windows in beta, and then also the web. So you can build responsive applications. I'll showcase the platform that I'm building actually. So we have login page. All right, this is going to be a responsive application. So these things are really simple, but as we get into a few more detailed screens, right, like this home screen, you can see how it performs on different devices. Just like most applications, you can switch through device screen sizes up here. We have light and dark mode integrated into the builder. We also have multiple languages. If you guys are following Webflow and Framer, I follow them on Twitter all the time. I love those platforms, but like they're implementing multilingual localization and it's great. We had it about a year before either of them. So I just want to give kudos to the FlutterFlow team. They did ahead of their time, but I would say ahead of their time on multiple facets because being able to develop a product and launch it not only to the web, right? Not only as a web app, but as an iOS app and an Android app is something that's extremely hard and is only possible by the power of Flutter. So all of this is built. Let's see code. We'll view code. And as we said, right, everything you build is also turns out to be code. So you're not just building an abstraction of code. You're not building an abstraction of your design, right? This is not drawing vectors. We're not working in Figma. Everything we drag on the canvas is code. You can pass this off. I work with a developer on the Claire team. They help extend our UI and the functionality that I can build in FlutterFlow. They extend that with code. We have an app that we built. It allows you to have a custom audio player, right? Works just like Spotify, not possible in FlutterFlow, but with a little bit of extra code, custom code on top of that. The GitHub integration within FlutterFlow, it's very simple. So I just wanted to showcase like what is possible and highlight some of these things. I know some of you guys have joined from from my own live stream, but maybe we have new builders here and I want to showcase the power of what FlutterFlow does. So let's go ahead and create a new project. We're going to keep it short, maybe 20 minutes. We're going to have, at the end of this 20 minutes, we're going to have a working authenticated or application that allows you to authenticate yourself and maybe create a record, maybe a social post, something like that. So it's extremely simple. We can just name it no code live stream. There are some sample apps here. They're just for like simple use cases. I would say like if you're into a meal planner, you can use AI here. Also, we have a thread social or like a Instagram clone, essentially. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but yeah, it's a social application. We're just going to create a blank application. And then we are going to skip here and we're going to start building two things that we need to do in order to get started. So we need to copy and paste a FlutterFlow Firebase ID. And so I'm going to do that real quick, just from another project. So we can do that. You can also create a project on Firebase all within here. The desktop is having some bugs right now, so this will actually time out on us, but we can do that via the web, and it's very beneficial. Let me grab this icon. Also, as far as like databases go, right? In FlutterFlow, so you always have to connect to a database, right? That's the whole point of applications. There are 3 options in FlutterFlow, and then there's innumerable options through APIs. So I don't want to skip over that, like what's possible, what's not possible. In other no-code platforms, you have a built-in backend, right? And therefore you can build stuff quicker, right? Everything's connected, everything communicates. But we don't do that. And it's on purpose. We want you to have an extensible backend that is production ready and not just limited to FlutterFlow, right? FlutterFlow allows you to, when you have an external database, you can export your code from FlutterFlow and continue building. You're not limited to just always building on FlutterFlow, always paying $70 a month. Now, I hope that you do, right? Just because like it's beneficial, but I'm going to just quickly copy my thing. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that I can paste it in here. We're going to connect our Firebase real quick, and then I'm going to auto generate some config files. Yes, Kaleo. Okay. Just so I don't want to make that Firebase public currently, but we're connecting config files. Essentially, it's just creating our apps in Firebase. So now we have a bare bones, right? Mobile screen, very empty. What do you do from here? Well, there's a few things you can do. You can come over here and you can drag almost anything onto the canvas, right? Drag a container, an image, all this stuff. It's drag and drop. The number one rule I would say, if you're a beginner, right? If you're a beginner and you don't know how to build in FlutterFlow, the number one concept you have to grasp is it is a structured layout system. So it's not like Figma or like Bubble where you can just drag things on the canvas and arrange them how you want. Everything is structured. It's essentially like working in auto layout in Figma, but way easier. If you think about that construct, this is actually a little easier because it's structured. So columns will stack things vertically, rows will stack things horizontally, and then stacks will allow you to do that freeform stuff. But those are 3 layout widgets within Flutter that just allow you to create your designs. So if you think about that, or if you understand that concept, I think it's a lot easier to understand. I was lost until I figured that out. So once I understood that, I was like, okay, cool. Now I can build anything that I want. Another thing that I would say is key, and I'll do these 2 things. We have this create collection. Okay. So this is where you manage your backend, right? We have data types and schema. We have local state storage. So this allows you to create logic based off of states in your application and not just from the backend. We have API calls, as we mentioned. You have project media, so you can upload like logos. You can upload any images that you want stored here. We have custom code, so you can extend stuff here. When you create custom functions, you can use AI to write those functions. Same thing with cloud functions, tests, it doesn't really matter. Theming is my favorite because it allows you to create robust themes. And I won't spend too much time on this. We have some videos and other live streams where I talk about how to arrange this stuff correctly because when you build out, we have a bunch of templates and template screens and flows, which I'm going to show next. And all of those are based off of a similar theming model. Okay. And I'll showcase that. But for now, we can explore different themes. You can just see what's happening on the left here. I'm going to do this other one, this purple tones, because I'm a big purple tones guy. And there you go. Now our theme is updated and we can click this little green button, which allows us to, you can create pages, right? We can create blank pages. If I'm creating something from Figma, maybe I want to clone it in here, just like in front end development, you can build everything and you can make it pixel perfect. Okay. As a designer, this is very freeing. But we have a bunch of template screens, I think over 160 template screens you can choose from. We also have components, which are just like little blocks, right? You have cards, you have inputs, you have list views, you have tables, you have product elements. All of these things just help you build faster. So we can say, use my theme here. We'll say card mine. And now this adapts to our theme. So if we had a totally different theme, then it would adapt to that theme as well. We had blue as a color, right? Then this component template would adapt to that. Now, those components are great. My favorite feature, and I was talking to Art before this, is called flows. Flows are pre-built connections, pre-built modules of multiple screens and logic that are hooked up into one. So we have this like profile creation flow, and we can just add that to our project. By adding this, we're going to add 6 pages here, a component, a collection of users, and we're going to turn on Firebase authentication. Okay, pretty cool. So we no longer have to build that from scratch, right? We no longer have to say, hey, let's build each of these screens, let's connect them, let's hook up the logic and all that fun stuff. We do get what we need to do is we need to define our user collection, and we'll just turn that on and select users. You will get some bugs there, but once you do that, it will turn off. And then project has authentication, but entry page is not specified. All good. Again, we can just come over here to our app details, and we can say our entry screen should be the authentication one. Our logged in page should be home page, let's say. And now we have 0 bugs, right? Very simple. This flow gives us this sign up or login page, right? And so we're going to actually do that. And fun fact, I have this simulator, which I will showcase. I'll share my entire screen so you guys can see this. But with the desktop application, where we are able to do something called local run. So we're able to actually test our application on our simulators on our computer. Or if you have your iPhone connected, you could test it on your iPhone. There is some dev environment set up that you have to go through. It pretty much walks you through it in FlutterFlow. I'm a very noob developer. I hate setting up dev environments, and I was able to do it. So I know I'm maybe super talented in design and FlutterFlow, but as soon as I have to open up a terminal, I'm like a little kid that does not know anything. I'd rather just go play Legos. But I was able to do it and troubleshoot it. So we're going to do that. And I'll share my entire screen now so you guys can see that. So we should have that set up. We do need to deploy our Firestore rules, right? Because we need the ability to create and edit users, all that good stuff. I will set these to user collection. So these are rules. This is how you make your application secure, which is wonderful. You would do this on any other application. It's not just no code applications or low code applications. It's in every application. So that's why we say it's a visual development platform. It gives you the ability to do anything you would just like in a traditional development environment. You don't have to go through a traditional development environment. You go through a phase of design, Figma or Sketch or Adobe XD, whatever your tool is. Those designs only produce vector images, right? It may be some code. Maybe you have some dev mode. You can copy and paste certain code snippets, but those code snippets only turn into static code elements, right? Static code elements. Well, when you copy something from Figma, it says, here's the style, and maybe here's some defining characteristics like font and font size and family. And then it has a drop shadow and a border radius, right? Background color, etc. Well, that's a defined code snippet, but it's not a widget, a predefined Flutter widget, right? This is actually a Flutter widget. It's called a button widget. So with that button widget, I actually have the capabilities of submitting things, of hooking up actions, of having a hover state, a disabled state, and all these things out of the box. The button is probably the simplest example of that. A text field or a drop down is a very complex one. When you try to copy and paste code from Figma into whatever builder you are, it's just going to copy and paste the style of a static code element. It's not going to say, oh, this is a text field. So with that text field, I'm going to have a label and initial value or a hit text. I'm going to be able to bring up a keyboard and I have keyboard options, right? In FlutterFlow, you're able to do that because everything you drag on the canvas is a live Flutter widget. So let's see. We have this now, right? I'm going to re-up this because I don't know if I deployed my rules while we built this. We also have some things like tab bar widgets, animations that you're able to do in FlutterFlow. Man, I think this is amazing. So here, I'll create a new little, let me see, Andrew 2 and Kaleo design 2. Okay, so we're going to create an account. See if this lets us in. Boom, it did. So now we are interacting with our backend. We're interacting with Firebase right then and there. We didn't have to build anything. We utilized the flow. So I can showcase building, but pretty cool. Within 15 minutes, we already have an application that you, me, Art, Andrew, Bruce in the comments, Ruben, you guys can all go and create an account. If I deploy this, you could update your photos. Let's see. Allow access. I'll just do this photo. And we'll say Andrew D. My role is owner and founder. I really love building live, but I hate spelling live. Yes. True facts. Okay, cool. We automatically have our information here. So Andrew D, we're gathering that. We have light and dark mode. We have our account settings. What we don't have is the ability to navigate away from this page because we haven't set it up. So let's go ahead and set up an actual application. We have that flow, which helped us overcome that initial process, but let's go ahead and add on to that, right? So we can go ahead and show this page on the nav bar, right? A nav bar is just that little element at the bottom of your mobile apps that allow you to navigate between screens. It's what is recommended by both Apple and Android now. So we have this, we can show it on navbar. Okay, it's currently off in app settings. So let's go to app settings. Over here, we can say navbar and app bar. Go ahead and turn this little guy on. And then it requires at least 2 pages to have show on navbar set. So perfect. We have one. Let's go to our home page and let's add another one. Okay, sweet. Both of those go away. And if we hot reload our little application, we should get a bottom nav bar that shows up here. So we're able to test this live. It didn't work. Here, maybe we'll save and we will reload and restart the application, but it should show up. Well, all of this stuff is connected to our Firebase backend. We're able to adjust things, right? There it is. Here it is. Perfect. We're able to test on our simulator. You can also test stuff in like Chrome. And then Andrew Patelis, I'll try to answer questions after this. Yeah, we'll go ahead and build something. What homepage should we build? Let's say maybe we want just a traditional homepage that has a welcome message and the ability to possibly create a social post. Let's do that. Let's do a social feed. And I'll try to do this real quick. I'm going to go really fast. So it's not necessarily a tutorial, but maybe a showcase. In mobile application building, right? 2 common elements that are awesome are the app bar, which is up here, and the nav bar, which is down here. Both of them you have access to in FlutterFlow. And again, if you're just copy and pasting from Figma, you won't get those two things. You'll get just static code. So welcome. We have a column here, which means we can stack things vertically. Let's go ahead and drag a container over here. And on this container, we can then set some padding in the right side panel. We can set the width to infinity, or we can give a border radius of alternate, or a border colors of alternate, border radius of 12. We can apply some box shadow, right? Automatically, we already have this sort of cool card here. And it could say, we could have another column in here. And in this column, we can center align and we can cross-axis start. So that'll make everything go to the left. And we can, again, add some padding. I also teach design. And so all of my live streams talk about both. They talk about design and they talk about best practices and how to do stuff in FlutterFlow. So when I design even something as simple as this, right? I want to utilize proper spacing And in Flutter, there's no such thing as margin. It's just padding. So, and padding really is margin. Okay. Don't get me started. If you come from web development, right? Padding's on the inside, margin's on the outside. Flutter just has padding and it's just on the outside. Who knows? I don't know who came up with those naming structures, but you get over it. You learn. If you come from Figma, so I'm designer, like I said, I come from Figma. When you utilize auto layout, you have the ability to set padding and spacing. We also have that ability. So we can add just traditional spacing here between elements. Very nice. And I would say in accordance with best practices. We also have some of those. I showed you colors, right? We also have the ability to set up text styles. For now, we just say we have 16 styles. So over here in our theme, typography and icons, we have 16 styles. You can edit them however you want. The way that like on this, we can set up, we get access to basically all Google fonts out of the box. They're not really all Google fonts because it's a Flutter package and that Flutter package hasn't been updated to the latest, but most Flutter fonts you get access to, or most Google fonts you get access to, which is really nice. And then, yeah, we can just say no code devs workshop quiz. Okay. I'm going to just create a little quiz here that allows you to rate me on how well I communicated FlutterFlow. Okay. So we're going to do this. We're going to remove the height of this container. Boop. Yeah. I totally switched up. I said social app. And then I was like, no, this one sounds way funner and maybe a little more interactive. So I'm going to say take quiz. Sweet. Now, in order for this to happen, let Andrew know how he did explaining power of FlutterFlow. Now, I'm going to do a rating bar whenever we do this. So 5 is going to be mandatory. It can't be lower than 5. But I just want it to be unbiased. So you guys put whatever you want, but you'll only be able to actually submit 5. In order to do that, right? In order to create a quiz or a social post or activity, we need to create another collection. So here we have users. We also can update this and we can create a new collection and it's just going to say quiz or maybe quizzes, however you want to name it. And we can create schema. So obviously Firebase is a NoSQL database system. So it's relational database, not table-based. I don't know. Don't ask me to explain that stuff, please. I'm not very good at it. But anyways, it's relational. So instead of like nesting things underneath and just saying this table links to this table, links to this table, links to this table, it's relational. So everything can be top level and it can all relate to another one. So you just basically point to users. So in this quizzes one, we're going to do a couple things. First, we're going to generate our schema with AI because it's my favorite thing in the world and it works really well typically. I need a collection with a user reference, name, rating. I don't know about name. Maybe message, rating, time created, and let's see, what else do we need? A fun fact for the heck of it. And we can just create that. It's going to generate the schema for us. And looky there, we have our field names over here and we have our data types over here. So this rating is a double. That's great because that'll be an integer. Will allow us to capture. Oh, this user ID though, it's not what we need. And delete that. I'm going to say user reference or user ref, and I'm going to reference that user's collection here. So this is that relational part. Let's relate it back to this other collection. And I'm doing it as a top level because I want to view it as an admin. I don't just want the user to view their quiz results. As an admin, I want to be able to view that. So go back now and let's create a quiz page that we can link this up to. All right. So I'm going to press Command K, which brings up our command palette. And that allows us to do a bunch of things in the app, but I'm going to just add a page. And let's see if we have a good template that we can use. Oh my gosh, looky there. We do. So we can utilize maybe this quiz. And I'm going to use my theme quiz page. Okay, cool. Yeah, incredible, great, good, okay, really bad. Nice. But instead of how your day was, let's go ahead and say, how was Andrew's presentation? Awesome. And we're going to remove this padding. It's way too much. Let's do that. Question one of two, maybe. Yeah. Two. We don't need this. Let's remove that. Now I'm just going to add a text field in here. So again, it's a Flutter widget. So it allows us to have access to Flutter styling and Flutter capabilities. It's not just a container with a text field in it. So we get things like input type, right? A declaration type instead of underline, maybe an outline. Maybe we can do a filled state here, right? We get access to the border color, the focus border color, the arrow border color. We can add a fill here, which is really nice. We can also do my favorite thing, which is we can we have all these additional properties, and the text field widget is definitely like the most robust widget. But you can also do this update page on focus change. Whoop. And with that, we can set this fill color from a conditional value, if then else statement. So just like in code, if this, then do this, else do this. So that's what we're going to set up. And we're going to say, if this widget has focus, okay, we're going to set an accent color. We're going to set the background to accent color 1, which is our primary at 30% opacity. And then if not, we're going to say secondary background, okay, which is our white. Okay, perfect. We can adjust this guy to alternate. Also, progress bars. I know. Saw Carolyn here. Did you know that if you remove the width of a progress bar, it'll just automatically, anyways, it's a long story, but okay. Progress bars are the most annoying widget, I think, for dynamic widget in FlutterFlow, but only because the width had to be set implicitly. But if you remove the width, it'll just adapt to whatever width, right? Boom, looky there. Cool. All right. So a few other things we can do with the text field before we set up the navigation and create. We're going to set the max lines to 4. We can set the min lines to 2, so it just looks like this. We can also align the label with hint text right here. And we can say, leave a message for Andrew. Boom. All right. So there's that. And maybe maybe you guys can leave long messages. So I'll do 4 here. Awesome. And we're just going to do a 1-question quiz. So instead of navigate to, we're going to say create Firestore document, quizzes, and then we get to set the field. So right now what we're doing is we're creating a backend document. Okay. So like we're reading Firebase and we're saying, hey, when a user takes this action, I want to create a new record in my database. So let's go ahead and we're going to set these fields, and we don't need the fun fact, but we can do the rest. So user ref, we automatically have access to the authenticated user reference. So we can do that here. User reference, we're going to add that. We can also do time created. We have a global property called current time. So we can just grab that. And then this is where the fun part begins. So we have a rating. Oh my gosh. This rating is a double, and we have a checkbox group. Oh, well, sucks. We actually need that slider value. So although this checkbox group is cool, we can remove it. And what we'll do is we'll do 2 things. We're going to add a slider here. There you go. And we'll add some padding around it for spacing. We will set, okay, yeah. You have 0 to 10 that you can do. The initial value will be 5. And then we will also do a little showcase of that number. And we're going to grab everything you have on the canvas, that contains a widget state. So things like sliders and text fields, text fields, even tab bars, I think, have widget state. I could be wrong about text bars, but they have a widget state, which means we can grab that. So choice chips, stuff like that. We can grab that widget state and we can showcase it on the screen, or we can add it to our collection, which we're going to do as well. I'm going to say headline medium, align in the middle, and we're going to set this text dynamically from this slider value. So set, anytime you see an orange little connection thing in FlutterFlow, that means you can set it from a variable. We have widget state right here. So we're just going to do slider value and we'll set it to 0 to begin with. Okay, cool. Yeah, we can just give this a little bit of padding and we can remove the width maybe. Oh no. Let's wrap it in a row. Awesome. Okay, I wrapped it in a row. Since the row is a layout element, this container doesn't need an implicit width. It will just grow with whatever is inside. Let's go ahead. We need to finish this. So we have rating, set this from variable, and we'll just select off the canvas this slider. And then our message as well. So we'll just do this. Perfect. Okay. So that's not the first thing, or that's not the only thing. We have the create document, but we also need to like navigate back, right? So we're just going to navigate back here. And we can also show a snack bar. So these are very common actions that maybe as a designer you would do, right? I designed many of these that say you have completed the quiz. Perfect. Okay. And this is, let's do info text here. We'll set it for 3000, which is 3 seconds. So what it's going to do is it's going to create a document. It's then going to navigate back to the homepage and it's going to show a small little snack bar that comes up and says, you have completed the quiz. Okay, let's do that. We're going to have to deploy our rules again because they're out of date. See, Firestore rules out of date. Everybody can create and everybody can read. And then, Andrew, I think you asked this earlier, Firestore rules for users. We have specific rules for users collection. So we can just do that here. All right, 45 minutes in, we have an app that you can authenticate yourself at. And, oh, you know what? We have not, we need the ability to navigate to that take quiz page. Let's go ahead and do that. Just navigate quiz page. We can have different transition types. So let's go ahead and do slide up and I'll make the duration 300. All right, let's see. Let's see if this works. I ran into an issue. My logs. Oh, quiz page widget. Linear percent indicator isn't defined for the class. Method name. Okay, so I bet you the error we are running into is this quiz page, this slider value. So I bet you if we hid this, we wouldn't have to worry about it. Oh, yeah, that's what we'll do. We will. This is great. This is amazing. So page state, we'll just go ahead and set a page state. This gives you the ability to access some state variable within just the page level. So we'll say rating. We'll make it a double. We'll just do 0.05 as the initial value, and we'll confirm that. Reason being, we're going to set this initial value from that page state. So sometimes with widgets, they need to actually be set from a state rather than just a regular thing. So this will give us that ability. And then we can also set that. So as a update page state, this is just like a little thing. I'll just set value again to that 0.50, like a clarifier, but this should fix that error, I'm hoping. And yeah, it should. We'll see. Okay. Linear percent indicator quiz page widget. All right. Maybe not. I wonder if we just read this then. Oh, what if we header, number format? Okay. I'm going to try to do this from the page state instead of, no formatting. 0. Okay. This is all stuff you run into in development, but hopefully these little hiccups will allow you. And again, they're things that you run into. They don't matter where you develop or how you develop. Okay. Nope. Still Okay, quiz page. Well, let's see. Maybe we'll just remove this little guy. I'm hoping that's the case. Or maybe that's the little guy. Let's see. Linear progress. Oh, looky there. It did work. Hey. And see. Oh, we need to rebuild this, I think, because on our homepage, navigate to nice. Okay. I think it should work. So let's go ahead. Let's see. Next quiz. Create document. Oh, you know what? Let's go ahead and restart the app instead of just hot reload. Oh, sick, dude. Yes. Okay, cool. We got it. We can also just navigate back. So we can update this like here. We can set this little action to navigate back. And then we can also just do that. But let's go ahead and see if we can set this. Oh, we're not updating that. So as route value, show value, we need to actually set an action as well. Obviously on selected. So update page state, rating double, set value to this. Same thing. Okay. But before we do that, I'm going to just go ahead and submit one. Hey man, I think this all works. And we'll just, boom, you completed the quiz. Awesome. All right, cool. 53 minutes in, we do have something that works. And I will do two things. I'm going to redo that app, and I'm going to turn on my platform or enabling web here, right? You have different Windows, Mac OS, but this allows us to deploy. So we can deploy to the App Store, but also deploy to the web. So no code devs at flutterflow.app. We'll reserve the subdomain, we'll publish it, and I will share it. Awesome.
I took the quiz on the web while you were talking. It worked beautifully. So
Oh,
thank you.
and look, we didn't even update now. This number update, which I don't think it in the deployed version, maybe not, but pretty cool.
They can update it on the web. So
Yeah.
yeah, pretty cool.
I'll stop sharing.
Awesome. Well, make sure you take the quiz. Taylor linked it up again in the chat. Can't say thank you enough. This was awesome. I learned a ton. You are an expert, of course, and it was really cool to see what you can build in 30 minutes or so. Thanks for sharing all of this. If you have any questions, you can reach out to Andrew. You can reach out to the Good Devs. We'll pass it along, whatever works. But yeah, thank you so much. This was super cool. Glad to finally have a live stream webinar here on FlutterFlow. So hopefully this brings a lot of value. I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. Thanks for hosting. All right. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for all the great questions, everyone.
All right. We'll see y'all.
Yeah. Thank you.